It's been a while, hasn't it? Well, since my most popular video so far is the Game Boy accessories video by a wide margin, and thanks for that by the way, why not celebrate my return with a sequel? Jeez, look at that potato camera. That big T guy or whatever was such a noob. I mean, look at it, nothing's even straight and... whatever, I'm not even going to worry about it. Managed to get my hands on some new accessories in that almost 5-year hiatus. So let's jump right in, shall we? My name is H, and this is Game Boy Accessories Video 2. I guess we should start with the ubiquitous original brick. After all, it did revolutionize the portable video game market back in 1989, even with its shortcomings like that awful dim screen. Nowadays, going back to looking at something like this is daunting now that our eyes have been spoiled with bright and vibrant AMOLED panels. But even back then, being unable to play with anything short of direct daylight was quite a hassle. Gamers wanted to be able to play in the dark, or at least after the evening hours. Therefore, Newbie, just one third-party company, released the appropriately titled Newbie GameLight. They weren't the only ones. Lighting up that thing's screen was a big business. There were so many accessories out there to accomplish this simple task that you would probably be looking at double the retail price of the Game Boy itself back in the day if you wanted them all. I looked at the Bright Beam in the first GB accessories video, and since then I've gotten my hands on the Newbie GameLight. Two of them, in fact. One is a GameLight and one is a GameLight Plus, the difference being that the Plus also has a magnifier. I'm going to demo the regular GameLight because I cannot get the GameLight Plus to light up, unfortunately. Even this one can be quite finicky as well. The first thing you have to do is put in the 4 AA batteries. 4. That means 8 batteries total. Good grief. These batteries are a pain in the neck to put in there too. They just barely fit. And then you have to deal with sliding this dumb thing back over the top. This is just not a very pleasant experience. Then you just snap this to the top of the Game Boy, probably the easiest part. Pretty ingenious actually that it uses the grooves in the Game Boy for installation, and once it snaps on there it does not move. In fact, it's quite difficult to get it back off. The light actually does a pretty decent job at lighting up the screen, I'm kinda surprised. But it does use incandescent bulbs, which are prone to flickering if they have anything short of perfect battery contact. Overall, eh. Even though the light doesn't work, I'll just show the magnifier one too. This does help a little if you're farsighted or something, but I would be just fine with the original screen. Another very popular version of the light accessory is this here Worm Light. This one I like much better. It plugs right into the EXT port of your Game Boy Pocket or Color. It also works with the Game Boy Light if you're a fan of redundancy. This allows it to tap off the system's power so there's no extra batteries involved, and you can move this around until it's in the perfect spot for you to avoid glare. In the dark it's fairly effective, and when you don't need it, it folds into a nice accordion and slips away into your pocket or whatever. Much better product. Speaking of link cables, there's this thingy. This is known as the Game Boy 4-player adapter, or DMG-07. You guessed it, 4 players on Game Boy. One end is hardwired, and the other 3 ends you need to buy extra link cables. Not a fan of this design because you can't hook up anything other than an original brick to the first player end. Whereas if you had link cable adapters, like this one, you could hook up any Game Boy except the micro to the other player's slots. It only works with some games that are compatible, like F1 Race, Super RC Pro-Am, and Uno 2 Small World. And one other link cable. This one was made by Gamester and is actually a 2-in-1 link cable. This could either function as a Game Boy Advance to Game Boy Advance link cable, or a GBA to GameCube link cable simply by flicking the switch. And it's nice and long too. And on the GBA SP it doesn't cover up the charging port like the official GBA to GameCube one does. It's an all-around good solution and I like it. Let's talk some power cables. For starters, here's the original Game Boy rechargeable battery. Yeah, a rechargeable battery for the Game Boy. It's almost as big as the Game Boy, and you have to clip it to your stinking jeans and have a wire come up. But hey, whatever compromise had to be made to have to buy less AA's was certainly welcome. Amazingly, after 29 years, it still holds a charge. Not bad. Here's a look at an official Game Boy Pocket AC adapter. This one also works with the Game Boy Light and Game Boy Color. Nice long cord on it, and makes for less battery waste if you're indoors. Just whatever you do, do not plug this in while there are also batteries inserted in the Game Boy. This will not turn out pleasantly. Of course, there were also AC adapters for your car. Yeah, not too much to say about this one. It's a Game Boy SP power adapter that works with your car. The GBA SP was heavily criticized for having no standard headphone jack, like a certain recent device maybe? To use headphones with it, you had to get an adapter. I happen to have two of these, one by Intech and one unbranded one. The downside is that you cannot charge and use headphones at the same time because they both use the same port, but they do work quite well, so that's good. We'll conclude the video by revisiting two accessories that I talked about in the previous one, the GameShark Pro and the Brain Boy. I've since found out what these do. This is the GameShark Pro. Quite an iconic product. I'm surprised I didn't know what this was back then. Just like any GameShark or Game Genie, it allows cheat codes to be entered in to unlock game features such as infinite lives, invincibility to enemies, etc, etc. What you do is you put a game cartridge on the back here, insert this in the Game Boy, and there you go. This is the Brain Boy, and it's similar to a Game Genie, but it has some different enhancements. It can add more custom palettes to original Game Boy games than the default profiles built right into the Game Boy Color, speed up games to 2 times, and backup save games. But perhaps the best feature is its ability to completely break Pokemon Gold and Silver. Attach a Gold or Silver card to this thing and it can unlock any Pokemon at any level. We'll cover both of these in more detail in separate future videos. Well, that's all for the new Game Boy accessories video. To all my subscribers, I want to thank you for sticking around so long waiting for more videos. And to all the rest of you, thank you very much for watching, as always. More videos to come soon.